Ah, it is good to be back, and welcome to my new place.
When you're in PC,
Lights rock
when you depend on me
to give you weapons that
weapons
turn your information for your journey and still you still pushing to try to hurt me. Lights up,
when you're in PC.
lights rock.
Oh man, I have finally rested. I am finally relaxed. I've gotten all my stuff in. I am finally here, and I get some free time to actually get to do some reading. It's a shame that it has to be Geist the Sin Eater, but what are you going to do? It is time once again to dive back into the world of darkness, to take a look at one of the more obscure in the Chronicle of Darkness line, Geist the Sin Eaters. Man, I'm running out of the obscure World of Darkness things to talk about. I'm going to have to start dipping into modules and Wraith the Oblivion before I even touch upon Vampire or Mage. Regardless, this is where we are. Geist the Sin Eater, and boy, it is somehow managing to walk a fine line between horrendously forgettable and strangely captivating. It's very hard for a game to be completely fascinating and utterly irrelevant at the same time, but Geist somehow figured out a way to do it. Nothing can encapsulate this than the cover and the first few pages of the book. Look at this. It looks so dark and mysterious. You are instantly drawn in with the color scheme, the titles, the omnipresent keys in the background. The story drags you in and gets you captivated. This is solid. Oh man, this thing is actually going to be so cool and so memorable. And then we get to the actual writing of the book. And it is nothing but the most horrifically boring Times New Roman standard font, complete with a plain white background, with no pizzazz, not even a watermark, not even watermarked keys. And then it just sucks all the joy and wonder you had out of those first few pages and leaves you with nothing but the same feeling I had when I opened my statistics textbook from undergrad. I know that this should not necessarily be the benchmark that I base all of my opinions on, but nothing better encapsulates my feeling of Geist the Sin Eater and the ennui that it gave me than looking at these first few pages. These dark, blue, interesting, engaging pages, this interesting story, and then to just switch over to a white textbook style font like it was typed straight out of Microsoft Word with just this blue bar on the left side inserted in as clip art. I am so thankful that the artwork in this book is there and keeps me invested. Just like every World of Darkness game, the artwork is splendid and sets the tone for the rest of the game. There is a sense of joy mixed in with the dark and grim melancholy to it, which is exactly what you want from a World of Darkness game. And it will at least help get you through the first bits of nothing but white text format that's starting to put you to sleep. Alright, I know the layout shouldn't be reflective of the game's quality, and I know that you all are looking for me to actually review this game instead of talking about how it's presented. But this really is indicative of the game. Clearly a great concept, juxtaposed with a whole lot of no fucks given. At either rate, let's get into it. Maybe the gameplay and mythos can spice it up a bit. I mean, sort of, but I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. Why wouldn't you get your hopes up? Well, it is pretty clear that Onyx Path, White Wolf, and the creators didn't have high hopes for it. Not only do you have the layout of it that's just boring and forgettable, but this is one of the least published games in the entirety of the World of Darkness and Chronicle of Darkness line. No joke, unlike the rest of the limited run Chronicles of Darkness that got 4 source books as well as a core book, Geist the Sin Eater got 1, and its core book, and that is it. It is one of the biggest afterthoughts that you could find in World of Darkness. Besides a couple of fan-made things as well as a few PDFs, there's really nothing much else for Geist the Sin Eaters. Maybe it's just me, but it always seemed like Geist the Sin Eaters and its sister Old World of Darkness game, Wraith the Oblivion, were just the oddballs of the line. Wraith didn't exactly pan out for the developers like it expected to, and Geist was nothing more than a footnote, created by a number of people who seem more on the, well, I gotta do it, it's my job, instead of being truly passionate about the project. And quite frankly, role-playing games are a labor of love. You really have to put forth the passion to really put the love into the project. If you don't, if you just take it as a 9 to 5, I gotta get this shit out and get it published, it's going to look like this. Rushed and really with no soul to it. So anyways, what goes into this game? Honestly, the short of it, corporeal ghosts is what you got for this one. The long of it is a bit more complicated. Geist the Sin Eaters is about a strange symbiotic relationship between Geists and Sin Eaters. Obviously. The Sin Eaters are recently dead mortals who make a deal with Geist to prolong their lives. As a result, the two begin to share the body of the Sin Eater, and the Sin Eater becomes more of a vessel for the Geist's whims. Geists themselves are ghosts that have twisted themselves into a new entity that craves for the corporeal world. Which, all things considered, is pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, things get a little wonky after this, but the initial concept of this game is introspection and trying to deal with the concept of two entities sharing the same body. One of the primary parts of this game is the shared psyche between the two, and learning to balance between the Geist and the Bound. This does run the risk from a gameplay standpoint of being completely introspective until the storyteller drags it out into the plot, but all things considered, it's pretty cool. Sin Eaters gain their power through keys, those omnipresent things that have been present throughout the entire book. When a Sin Eater gains a key through a near-death threshold, they can unlock manifestations, through which they can control the physical world either by means of outright force, hauntings, manipulate the forms of different things, or using people's fears. Which, once again, really cool, great concept, although we're starting to dive into the realms of oversaturation. Don't get me wrong, it is cool to have a lot of powers, and a lot of things going for you. But at this point, one Sin Eater has a whole lot of shit going for them just to play the game. You have to have died, made a deal with a Geist to become a Sin Eater, come back to life, find a way to get a number of different keys, and then use those keys in order to unlock manifestations in order to manipulate the world around you. That is a lot of shit. I mean, just thinking about it is starting to make my head hurt. And I thought Mage was complicated with this magic system. And unlike other games in the World of Darkness line, this game has no shortage of baddies for you to fight. Hell, the villains in this game are downright Cthulhu in their look and feel. The Abmortals are my personal favorite, adding that right amount of evil that just pushes them over the edge. Honestly, this game has a lot going for it, and I might be one of the few people that is going to actually state that Geist the Sin Eaters has a lot working for it. But why am I still going to give this game a miss? Well, Geist the Sin Eaters has a great deal going for it, and can certainly be a fun experience. The game is getting a miss for a number of reasons, the most important of which is not with the game itself, but with the creators. This game reeks of an afterthought from the people who made this game. The book comes across just as Microsoft Word with some clip art added in. The characters have a lot of cool abilities with them, sure, but they seem slapdash together, and ultimately it just feels like a bunch of concepts that did not come together for a cohesive whole. Couple this with the fact that this game only had one additional source book. A source book that I can't even find, to be honest with you. While every other game got at least 4, Geist was left out in the cold. And that basically means that there is precious little books to actually build on the mythos and make a more desirable game. When you don't put any effort into it, don't be surprised when no one is willing to pick it up. Geist the Sin Eater is getting a miss with an asterisk next to it. And that asterisk being is this. If the creators and if the company had actually put a little bit of thought and effort into this thing, it could have been a great game. But it's very clear that they did not have high hopes for it, they didn't push it, they didn't want to push it, and as a result, it just cannot get enough going for it to merit a crit. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching very much. I hope you enjoyed, and please like and subscribe for more, and come back next Tuesday for another video from me. Until next time.
Life's tough.
When you're in PC.
Life's rough.
When you depend on me.
To give you weapons, items, hardware, information for your journey